involved in war. Many of us are privileged in that we grow up in countries which do not know war, but that's not human history. Human history is a different one. And the vision of the Red Cross and the vision to which Angela was very deeply committed to was a vision of helping to relieve the suffering, to mitigate the suffering, and to make a difference. And she fought very, very hard to do that. And I know because sometimes I was at the receiving end of her fights and her insistence. The photographs show about 150 years of war in all continents with all kinds of problems. There are really three different areas. First of all are those people who are affected mostly by war. It's civilians, civilian population, innocent civilians who don't want to be caught up, but they are. The second group are those who are wounded. They may be combatants, they may be soldiers. And the third group are, of course, prisoners. And those are the photographs that you see around this room deal with those three groups. The photographs also show the humanity that can be brought. All is not lost in war. A lot of help and hope, and I think if Angela represented one word, it was hope. She represented that everybody can hope for a better future and a better life. And the third image you will see in the photographs are those who provide the support. Those who provide the support, those of us who have the privilege to be able to work there and who love it and continue to love it. Angela was a provider of that support. Angela was a provider of hope. Angela was also a victim of violence herself. What she believed in, what she stood for were so powerful for her, and her tragic loss to her family and to all of us is one that we're going to carry, and we're going to ensure that her memory and her legacy live very strongly. So we are gathered here to honor her as a humanitarian worker, for giving that hope and for giving support for those in need because of war and because of violence. I personally had the pleasure to work with Angela in Ottawa when she was with the Canadian Red Cross, in Washington, where we both were together, and more recently in the United Kingdom. And maybe I can link Angela's work with this exhibition. We wanted to find a venue for this exhibition, and we thought we would put it in Edinburgh Castle, a scene of many battles, many deaths, many conflicts, and we thought we would try and do it for 2 weeks. And Angela, being Angela, insisted, no, we don't want to have it there for 2 weeks, we want to have it there for a year. Now, Edinburgh Castle is probably Scotland's premier tourist attraction, so she was met with quite some dismay that we would manage to secure the presence of this exhibition for 1 year in Edinburgh. Well, she did it, and that exhibition just finished in Edinburgh in March of this year, having been there for 12 months, and that was really testimony to her. I then asked Angela last Christmas, 12 months ago, if she would consider going to Pakistan, where we had urgent problems because of the war in Pakistan, and she gratefully, not only did she immediately accept to go, but I knew, because she told me then, that she had a planned holiday with her family in Florida, which she passed up because she felt I'm needed in Pakistan, and it's a privilege and honor for me to go, and she went. And that was her last work with the Red Cross, because she never returned to our office, although we had a lot of contact with her when she was in Pakistan. We in the Red Cross, in the International Committee of the Red Cross, we miss Angela. We miss her as one of us. She was one of our tribe. We're a small tribe. We work together very closely in very dangerous situations, very vulnerable situations. We learn to work together, to live together, to eat together. It's very close. It's a very tight band, and we're very upset when one of us gets touched. And what has happened, Angela, has left us very broken, very sad, and very angry. She was part of us, and always will be part of us. Her commitment and her sincerity to those affected by war was deep and enduring. She fought for the underdog, the forgotten. She fought for the victims. She fought for them directly and very forcefully. Her example was one that inspired those who knew her, and she simply shrugged off any suggestion of a no. No did not appear in Angela's lexicon, and when she wanted something done, it was done, I can assure you. Her work was in the communications field, and she also made sure that the story that she wanted to appear in the media, in the press, was a story that she would fight for. And whilst colleagues again would query whether these stories could reach the press, Angela was somebody who would absolutely ensure that particularly the BBC in London would pick up stories, and she made sure that when we had to report what you see in those photographs about people suffering unnecessarily, that the public knew about it. How tragic has her loss been to all of us? Our thoughts are tonight with Dwight, Barb, Amy, family, friends, all of you. You loved her, you knew her as us. Her sudden departure has left us poorer. Her vibrancy, her care, as well as her unbridled energy are part of her life and her legacy. Few are the days in our work when we do not take into consideration what Angela thought about particular issues. She made sure we knew what she thought, and to this day, as we discuss various projects, we also ask ourselves, what is Angela's view? And it's very much still part of who we are and how we work in London. And this evening, as we gather in her memory and the memory of all of those who have been affected by conflict, she gave the gift of hope, the belief in humanity, the perseverance of committed to all those who deserved it and who were often forgotten and overlooked. She would want us to be defenders and fighters for all of those victims, and it is a great privilege to share this evening with you, as Angela's friend and colleague, that commitment to what she herself stood so strongly for. Thank you very much.
Over the past year, I've come to know Angela's identical twin sister, Amy. And I would say in many respects, not only are they similar in looks, but they're also both very determined individuals. They think things through, they're persistent, and they put pride into everything that they do. This has been shown in the hard work that Amy has done in putting tonight's event together. I've also been amazed at how Amy has handled the media events both here and over in the UK. I asked her recently, I said, have you had any training in public relations? And she said, no. She said, I just draw on the strength of my sister Angela, and that's her background as PR. And she goes, that's what gives me the strength, the courage, the guidance to do what I'm doing right now. I would now like to introduce Angela's identical twin sister, Amy.
This is a special one-night showing in Barrie, brought to our city. This exhibition has been on a world tour for the past 2 years. First, it was in London at the South Bank Tower, at Oxo Tower.
Sorry.
Okay. Then on to Edinburgh Castle, and finally Belfast. Our next planned stop is the Canadian War Museum in Ottawa. So we're in a very elite group here. This exhibit is sponsored by the International Committee of the Red Cross, and its purpose is to offer glimpses of our common humanity in the midst of war. Launching this exhibit on its world tour was my sister's last major assignment with the International Committee of the Red Cross. These images are communicating stories. When it comes to more compelling stories we have to tell, there's no more powerful way than through images. The word photograph is coined in 1839 and is based on the Greek word phos, meaning light, and graphe, meaning drawing or writing, coming together to be drawing from light. The first commercially successful photographic session was called a daguerreotype. Since daguerreotypes were rendered on mirrored surfaces, many spiritualists also became practitioners of the new art form. The spiritualists would claim the human image on the mirrored surface was akin to looking into one's soul. To truly know Angela was to understand that essentially there was two of her. From the moment of conception in her life, she was half of an entity known as Amy and Angela, and we carved the world accordingly. She was left-handed, I was right-handed. She was logic, I was emotion. She was work, I was home. She was global, I was local. She was sophistication, I was simplicity. We were an ocean apart, but we were always together. To say I miss her is an understatement. Our lives have been changed, and we will never be the same people we were. Our moments of happiness sometimes seem like a distant memory. We struggle to make sense of our tragedy, but these images help remind us of the good work she was doing with the International Committee of the Red Cross, that her bright life had a purpose. In closing, I would like to say thank you on behalf of myself, my parents, and our family for sharing this evening with us. It matters more than you can imagine. Enjoy the exhibit and the stories that have to tell. Thank you. And if anyone would like to give donations, we have envelopes at the back. My dad was right here. We've been with Royal Bank 47 years, so you can trust him with money. And then Peter McGuinness from the Canadian Red Cross. He's here somewhere with the Red Cross. He's at the back. He'll be happy to accept any donations you'd like to give. Okay? Thank you.